cards laid bare, shadows collide. Hidden truths in the tide. A spark in the dark, it glows. Illuminate, illuminate. Through the fog, the stars awake. Illuminate, illuminate. The path you seek, the steps you take. Thunder rolls, whispers rise. The deck unfolds, no disguise. Light cracks the veil, it shows. What's unseen now inside? What's under?
Good morning, everyone. I don't know why my video did not just work, but we're skipping that part. So anyway, welcome. I'm glad you guys are here this morning. If you're listening to the podcast later, thanks for tuning in. We will go ahead and get started. Apple News wants to give me notifications right now, of course. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and get started with your reading for today. Oh, I should unmute myself on Twitch, on the radio. Sorry to those of you listening on Awakenings, I forgot to unmute. I'm back, I'm here. All right, so now that I hopefully am being heard, let's get started. Okay, so your reading for today begins with the Ten of Wands. A figure burdened by heavy wands marches uphill. His vision's blocked and he's exhausted. This card screams overwhelm, responsibility, burnout, and carrying way more than your fair share. You're overloaded, emotionally, energetically, or physically. You're carrying burdens that aren't meant to be yours forever. In love, you may be putting in way more effort than the other person, or taking on emotional labor you weren't hired for. This card asks you to put down what isn't yours. In career, you're overworking, overcommitting, or saying yes when you mean, please, dear God, no, I need to delegate or restructure. Set down the burdens. Stop proving your worth through exhaustion. You don't have to prove yourself. You are not the universe's pack mule. All right, up next, we have the Ace of Cups. This is a divine hand offering a cup overflowing with water or emotion, intuition, love, and spiritual renewal. A new emotional beginning is trying to open up, but you're struggling to accept or trust it. Vulnerability is the challenge. Receiving love is the receiving love is the challenge. In love, someone may be offering you genuine emotion, or a new emotional chapter is calling you, but you're hesitant. Fear of being hurt again might be blocking you. In career, creative inspiration wants to come in. You're being offered a new start through intuition, creativity, or emotional intelligence. Your challenge is trusting your instincts. Say yes to new emotional beginnings and let yourself feel again. All right, up next, we have the Six of Cups. Two children sharing cups filled with flowers. This is nostalgia, innocence, memories, past life connections. Hi, Nikki Lou. Your foundation is tied to the past nostalgia, childhood wounds, old relationships, or someone from your past influencing your current emotional patterns. In love, past wound, or inner child need or childhood need is coloring your present. This may be a soulmate, karmic, or nostalgic-based connection. In career, you may be craving simpler work, passion projects, or something that feels like you again. Honor the past, but don't live there. Heal what your inner child still clings to. All right, up next, we have the Queen of Cups. This is a serene queen seated by the water, holding a beautifully ornate cup, a symbol of deep intuition, empathy, or emotional mastery. You recently entered a phase of emotional awareness, increased intuition, or deep compassion. You may have offered love or understanding or opened your heart more than usual. In love, you were nurturing, giving, emotionally supportive. You may have softened towards someone or deepened your intuition around love. In career, creative or intuitive work flourished. You used empathy as strength. You've been emotionally open. Now you must protect that softness with boundaries. Oops, I just lost my notes trying to look at what Nikki's saying. Oh, good. She finished a song. All right, next up. Four of Cups. A figure sits under a tree, arms crossed, ignoring the cup handed from the divine. This shows disconnection, contemplation, or emotional stagnation. You consciously want clarity. You want to know what feels real and what doesn't. You may also be intentionally withdrawing to reassess your emotional landscape. In love, you may be feeling emotionally checked out or unsure what it is that you want. You want something meaningful, not another almost connection. Nikki Lou says, these are pretty spot on cards, given I'm having some kind of weird mixed emotions or tomorrow being stupid DoorDash. Tomorrow being my ex-husband's wedding day. No idea how it feels so weird. Sorry, I didn't mean to read that out loud. Anyway, in love, you may be, may be feeling emotionally checked out or unsure what you want. You want something meaningful, not another almost connection. In career, you want purpose, not just a paycheck. You're bored or unfulfilled. Pause, but don't reject blessings just because you're tired or mistrustful. All right. In the near future, we have the Eight of Cups. A traveler walks away from 8 neatly stacked cups towards mountains, seeking deeper meaning, walking away from what doesn't satisfy. A major emotional turning point is coming. You're walking away from something that is no longer fulfilling, even if it once meant everything. In love, you may temporarily or permanently step back from a connection that isn't giving you what you need, or the relationship transforms because you start walking toward emotional truth. In career, leaving a job, mindset, or pattern behind. You're seeking purpose, not convenience. Trust your emotional instincts. The path ahead is higher, even if the first steps feel lonely. All right. Next up, we have the Six of Pentacles, the figure giving coins to others while holding scales to balance, generosity, and fairness. You see yourself as someone who gives a lot, often more than you receive. You're learning the difference between generosity and self-sacrifice. In love, you give love freely, but want reciprocity. You may subconsciously pick partners who take more than they give. In career, you want fair exchange, being valued for what you offer, not exploited. Balance giving and receiving. You deserve to be poured into as well. All right, next up, we have the Queen of Pentacles. The queen seated on a throne, surrounded by vegetation, hold pentacle lovingly, nurturing, grounded energy. Someone around you or the energy surrounding you is stable, nurturing, grounded, or supportive. A mature earthly influence. In love, a stable partner or potential partner is around you, or someone who values practicality and consistency. Could be someone loyal, grounded, or maybe even wifey or hubby material. In career, opportunities for stability or financial grounding are present. Someone may mentor or support you. Lean into stable influences. They are good for your soul right now. All right, next up, we have the Page of Cups. A playful page gazes at a cup with a tiny fish popping out. Unexpected emotions, surprise messages, creativity, and innocence are highlighted. You hope for emotional renewal, vulnerable communication, and sweet new beginnings, but you fear immaturity, inconsistency, or being hurt by someone not fully grown emotionally. In love, you want someone to express their feelings, take a sweet emotional risk, but you fear they may not be emotionally ready. In career, a creative beginning calls you, but you fear starting something new. Be open to emotional expression, but also be realistic about expectations. All right. Last but not least, we have the Five of Pentacles. Two figures walk in the snow outside a glowing church window. Poverty, hardship, abandonment, but also an unrecognized sanctuary nearby. The outcome shows a temporary feeling of being left out, unsupported, or growing through an emotional winter. But it's temporary and contains hidden help for the ones in the back. All right, in love, a period of distance, loneliness, or emotional coldness before clarity returns. Welcome, Brindle. It may represent the final step in walking away from unhealthy patterns. In career, financial, or job stress, but with solutions nearby, you need to ask for help or step into the warm light. This is the emotional detox before the breakthrough. You're shedding old wounds, not being punished. So, one thing I wanted to bring up about this reading is the amount of cups included and what that means. What it means when that many cups show up in a reading is that you are in an emotional transformation chapter. Your intuition is heightened, relationships, healing, vulnerability, and emotional truth are front and center. Your heart is speaking louder than your head or your fears. You're clearing out old emotional patterns, and your inner child is active. Your love life and emotional history are deeply intertwined with your current spiritual growth. This literally is a watershed moment. The overall summary is that you are burned out, healing your inner child, being offered new emotional beginnings, preparing to walk away from old emotional cycles, learning balance, supported by grounded energy, and becoming more intuitive, emotionally open, and self aware. Water has been quite prominent since yesterday. Yes, water has been very, very prominent lately. This is a spiritual evolution in motion. This whole spread tells a story of someone who's been carrying way too much emotionally, yet still keeps trying to pour from an empty cup. The universe is offering you a brand new emotional beginning, but fear, exhaustion, and old heart wounds are making you hesitant. The Six of Cups and the Queen of Cups combined shows that your past, especially old love patterns, childhood wounds, or soulmate karmic connections, have shaped your emotional behavior more than you realize. You love deeply, intuitively, and generously, sometimes too generously, because you're the Six of Pentacles, the giver, the healer, the balancer, and the peacemaker. The problem is you've been giving while others have been taking, and now the Four of Cups and Eight of Cups shows a turning point. You're done accepting half-hearted love or emotionally unavailable people. You're emotionally withdrawing, not because you don't care, but because you want something real and because your intuition is screaming for a higher path. The Page of Cups shows you still crave genuine connection and sweet vulnerability, but only if it's authentic, not childish or inconsistent. And the Five of Pentacles as the outcome suggests that a temporary emotional separation or coldness is necessary to break the pattern and stop the cycle of you carrying the weight alone. You're walking out of the old story so that you can step into the new one, even if that means walking alone for a short while. Okay, we're going to have a brief talk about the shadow aspects hiding underneath all of this watery emotion. Ten of Wands. You take on responsibility to prove your worth. You equate being needed with being loved. Work on that. These are the shadow. This is the stuff that you need to work on. With the Ace of Cups, you're scared to receive love because you fear it won't last or that you'll be abandoned once you let yourself be open again. The Six of Cups shows that you romanticize the past or cling to memories of people because the unknown feels unsafe. Queen of Cups, you over nurture. You soften for people who need to grow up. You mother emotional infants. With Four of Cups, you withdraw to avoid rejection. You numb emotions when they feel too complicated or overwhelming. In the Eight of Cups, you fear walking away because you don't want to be the bad guy, but staying can hurt even more. In the Six of Pentacles, your giving isn't always healthy. Sometimes it's people pleasing in disguise. With the Queen, what did I say? This is Queen of Pentacles. It was a Six of Pentacles. Queen of Pentacles. You attract people who want nurturing but do not provide stability back. Page of Cups shows that you fear that if you express your emotions, they'll be dismissed as too much or childlike, so you suppress the softness. The Five of Pentacles shows that you carry abandonment wounds, which make temporary distance feel like rejection instead of growth. Your heart is being cleansed and calibrated. To receive the love you want, you must stop nurturing relationships that drain you and walk away from patterns that keep you in emotional poverty. The universe wants you to know that your heart is not breaking, it's breaking open. You are in a soul level transition right now. The universe is pulling you away from overgiving, emotional exhaustion, one sided connection, old romantic patterns, childhood wounds, and replaying them over and over again in adulthood. And it's pulling you toward emotional renewal, higher emotional standards, intuition-led decisions, real reciprocity, stability and self-worth, and genuine soul-nourishing love. The universe is telling you, let go of what drains you, walk towards what fills you. You cannot lose what is meant for you, but you can lose yourself by holding on to what isn't. This chapter may feel lonely at first, but it is not the ending. It's the winter before the spring. You are shedding scarcity and preparing for emotional abundance. Yes, you have mentioned that to me. I did know that. Okay. All right. So, our homework card for the week. This is a tough one. This is the Knight of Swords. The Swift Herald. It's a young knight charging full tilt on a rearing gray horse. His armor is wind-whipped, a banner sword is held high. The landscape behind him is often stormy or windswept. Clouds racing, leaves blown horizontally. His gaze is fixed, laser-focused, maybe a little wild. The horse matches his impatience. Hooves thundering, hooves, how do you say that word? Anyway, nostrils flared, momentum in everything. It's motion. It's charging forward. It's raised weapon. This is blah. I can't speak today. This is air energy with warrior impulses, often linked to Gemini, Aquarius, and Libra flavor, which traditionally associated with Mars in Gemini in many attributions. Think brilliant words delivered like arrows. The key words of this card are up when it's upright are swift action, clarity, truth-telling, assertive communication, intellectual courage, sudden news, and pursuit. The archetype of personality of this card is that he is a brilliant, hot-headed messenger. He's the friend who storms into the group chat with a hot take, the lawyer who makes the sharp closing argument, the activist who changes a meeting with fury and conviction, brilliant, courageous, and impatient. He believes in truth and speed more than diplomacy. He values logic and momentum. Feelings are often background noise to him. Something decisive can happen now. It's going to happen now. A message, a confrontation, a plan that moves at high speed. Expect clarity and a push to act. The energy that is catalyzed in this is the charge out of the fog. If this comes up in love, if single, a sudden attraction or fast-moving flirt, or an intense new person who speaks plainly and acts boldly, could check on the emotional depth. If you have a partner, a blunt conversation may occur. Someone says what they think, perhaps cutting through pretenses. This can clear air or create wounds depending on how it's delivered. The Knight brings honesty and momentum. Love may accelerate quickly. Good for clarity, risky for nuance. In career, a rapid career move or bold proposal or sharp critique that forces change. Expect direct communication from bosses or colleagues. Ideally when you need to cut through bureaucracy, but not so ideal for delicate. What is wrong with my mouth today? Delicate negotiations that require softening. Oh, I cannot speak. This is a mental breakthrough, new philosophy, or sudden clarity about your belief system. This is the aha that demands action. But don't mistake clarity for completion. Integrate feeling with the thought. If this comes up in a health reading, sudden bursts of energy or the urge to take immediate action, like starting a fitness program before getting tests done, beware. Ignoring bodily signs in favor of pushing through it. When the Knight shows up in real life scenarios, you can receive a blunt breakup text out of the blue. You spearhead a campaign or presentation that forces everyone to respond. You impulsively quit a job or launch a business idea without a safety net. You say the hard truth in a meeting and it clears an agenda or clears the room right out. The advice on this card is to work with this energy. Channel the speed. Use this energy to cut through procrastination, but plan a quick checkpoint before irreversible action. I know Mike is sitting there right now going, Carrie, listen to this card because this has been you in the past. Temper truth with tact. Don't weaponize honesty. Pair the Knight's truth sword with the Queen of Cups empathy. Write things down before you speak. Dump the raw content of your mind onto paper. Then edit before delivering. Hold your breath. When you feel the impulse to charge, inhale, count to 10, then speak. It gives you a moment of clarity. Use the safety net rule. If the move is major, like legal, financial, relational, give at least 24 to 72 hours before you finalize. All right, so here are some things to practice when the what was that? Gosh, I am just out of it this morning when the Knight of Swords shows up. Walk briskly outside and say to yourself, clarity, not chaos. Write your truth on paper, then fold it once, tuck it in a drawer for 48 hours before making a decision. Take a breath. 6-second ins, 8-second outs for 6 cycles to calm the nervous system. Carry a smooth stone when you feel the rush. Touch it to ground mental storms. The Knight of Swords events are fast. Things can unfold in days to a few weeks. If he appears as an influence, expect momentum quickly, not a slow simmer. He cuts through the emotional fog where in this spread was heart-centered and cautious. The Knight says, speak. He can push you toward confrontation or toward finally voicing a need. But be mindful. His speed might escalate your emotional walkaway into a rushed exit. Use his clarity, but not his rage. I don't know what is wrong with me today. I cannot speak properly. All right. The potential outcomes when the Knight is present are quick resolution, truth spoken, clarity gained, appropriate action taken. But if the words or actions are too blunt, relationships or jobs can be severed before healing or negotiation. An abrupt pivot that launches you into a new phase if you remain neutral. This is exhilarating, or it could be disorienting. What you can do, and I'd like you to think about this week. These are possible journal. I don't know if you guys journal or not, but when this card comes up, these are potential things that you could journal. What truth have I been avoiding because it might change everything? Where in my life have I prioritized speed over sensitivity? And what would it look like if I slowed down? If I spoke my truth today, what would I say? What is the kindest version of that message? What am I afraid would happen if I didn't charge in and fix it myself? Use these affirmations. I speak clear truth with grounded compassion. Speed and wisdom can coexist. I harness my momentum for what truly matters. And I act from clarity, not from reactivity. The Knight of Swords is your mind on fire, brilliant, brave, and sometimes a little too loud. He will cut through fog like a comet through the night. But remember, comets burn bright and fast. Let him be your scout, not your bulldozer. Say your truth, yes, but don't forget the part where you tuck a blanket around the person you just woke up with that sword. I was going to talk about something else today, but since this card came up and since it made me think about some of the things that came up with it, I'm going to go ahead and expand on that a little, because I've done this numerous times. That's why I said Mike is sitting there thinking, oh God, she's talking to herself right now. Because I have done things on impulse, because I let emotions run in my head. Making choices to say things, to do things, to rush into or out of things that ended up hurting me in the long run because I reacted impulsively. We should always stop and think and take a deep breath, especially when it comes to major decisions. Like I mentioned, starting a relationship, breaking up with someone, leaving a job, quitting the radio station, whatever is on your mind. Don't act out of emotion. I mean, yes, emotion drives us and makes us feel certain ways, and we do have to react to those emotions. We do have to respond to those emotions. The problem becomes when we rush in and we respond and react to them on impulse immediately. Stop and think for a minute, because you can make some huge mistakes. You can walk away from things that you didn't really want to walk away from, and you can hurt other people if you just respond with emotion. So make sure that you stop and think before you respond. I've learned to withdraw and solidify or heal before acting. I don't know how I feel. I'm going to read that one out loud. Nikki Lou says, in recent years, I've learned to withdraw and solidify or heal before acting on how I feel. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. Because if you jump in, that I'm not saying out loud. Anyway, yes, you need to stop and think. And yes, if somebody still treats you like shit after the fact, I'm not using the word you use, but if somebody still acts and treats you like crap after the fact, after you stopped and thought about it, then yeah, you need to walk away. You need to tell them to hit the road, Jack. But make sure you stop and think, because this reminds me of something that is a rule of mine. Like if I'm in a relationship, and that is that I won't argue with someone. I won't get into a heated argument, because in the heat of passion, in anger, in high emotions, we say things or use words that we don't particularly mean. And once they're out there, you can't take them back. If you say something to somebody, I hate you, for example, just as an example, you can't take that back. And I don't care if you truly meant it or not. Those words are still out there. And they're not going to... You've never done that. Whatever. Micah says he's never done anything like that in his life. Bullshit. Just remember to stop and think, and don't act in the heat of the moment. Don't react in the heat of the moment, and don't say things when you're highly agitated or angry, because once they've been said, they cannot be taken back. All right, so anyone interested in a... Yeah, sorry, buddy. Sorry, got a scammer in the room. All right, gone. All right, Nikki Lou, Micah, anybody wants a Sword of Light oracle for the week? I have one for the group, but if either of you would like one personally, let me know while I shuffle them and wait for a response, because I know there's a delay. Ew, yes. All right. 100%. Once words have been said, they're always there in the back of that person's mind, whether you're friends again or not. They're still there. They still hurt. Yes, ma'am, they do. And my apologies for those things in the past. Just bringing up things in my mind and making me feel bad. Yes, we've all been there. We've all done that. We've said things that we don't mean, and and you can't take them back. You can't ever take them back. All right, Micah. Found yours. Stay the course. Even awakened spiritual souls who pay close attention to signs can sometimes get confused. When the problems repeatedly seem to get in your way, you might start to wonder if the divine message is that your plan is incorrect and you need to make changes. That is not the case this time. You're not wrong. You're just having a bumpy start. Continue to pay attention to any obstacles to see if minor changes to your plan might help. But stay the course no matter what. If you can, laugh at the slight setback so you keep things in perspective. The universe is not trying to tell you to give up. It's just a temporary rough patch. Keep moving forward and know that my sword of light will illuminate the way past any apparent roadblocks. Trust that all will be well. Like that one. All right, Nikki Lou. What do we have for you today? Oh, well, that was this for you. All right. Nikki Lou. You got step into the spotlight. The world is waiting for leaders like you. It's time for you to write, speak, teach, or otherwise share your visions. You are past the need to take more classes or read more books or increase your knowledge. Your time learning from mentors is nearly complete, and your time to become an inspiration to others is at hand. You're ready. I am using my sword of light to clear away your fears and uncertainties about what you can or cannot do. I know you may feel nervous, but try to focus on the excitement it brings when you consider how much help you can be to others. Ask your guardian angels and me to calm your jitters and reassure that you really are prepared to take on this beautiful life purpose. The light of the divine is shining down upon you. Have total confidence in yourself and get out there and change the world. I know that wasn't a dig at you, honey. I was just playing, but it did remind me. I've done those things. We've all done those things, and that's one. That particular situation is one of the reasons why I take my time these days and I think before I speak, because in that situation there were things that were said that were unmeant, and they can't be taken back, and I don't ever want to do that to you or anyone else ever again, because it's hurtful, and it needs, people need to not do that. All right, so for the group, that's good. That kind of gives you some insight into whether or you're not you accept the management position you've been offered at work. That's definitely you definitely should stop and think about that, but hopefully that gives you some clarity. All right, for the group, and this is a good one for this week. Let it go. Frequently, the activities you humans engage in are focused on seeking freedom. You want to be released from old ideas, expectations, fears, worries, dramas, stories you tell yourself, the past, and more often than that, and this happens more often than you can imagine, other people. Sometimes what you want is physical freedom, but usually it's emotional, mental, or spiritual freedom that you're asking for. The tricky part is getting people to participate in their own release. You might be shocked by how many souls are afraid deep down of freedom. I can use my sword of light to sever the energetic connections to what makes you unhappy, but your free will gives you the right to not let go. Metaphorically, I can unlock the prison, But if you refuse to leave the cell, then there's nothing I can do. I want you to be free. You may even believe that you are desperate to be free, but there's something you're holding on to. Is it a memory? Is it an idea, a story, a person? Ask yourself if you have given the past power over your happiness in the present because you're afraid you'll never be happy in the future. If so, it's time to diminish that false notion. Have courage that you can stand in your own power and live in the now. You can ask me to sever the energetic connections that hold you back a million times, and I will never tire of doing it. I will do it over and over with joy, but we'll both be even more joyful if you make the choice to really, finally, actually let it go. That was actually what I was going to talk about, was letting things go. And so we may dive into that next week a little bit because um, it's a little bit too much to get into now. But talking about letting go of things that are not helping you anymore and how difficult that can be, from and I mean I'm talking from alcoholism to relationships to anything. It's sometimes it's really hard to let things go because you're afraid of what things will be without it, if you especially if it's something that you're used to, or a relationship that you've been in a long time and you don't know what things will be like without it. We're going to talk about that a little bit next week, about letting go. All right. That is all I have for today. So I hope you guys have a fantastic week. I love you all. Thank you for being here. And if you're listening later, thank you for stopping by and checking in. I hope you guys have an amazing week. I love you all.